All right. Well, hello. Welcome. I don't know. I don't know how to start this without jokes. We usually
Yeah, we do the three jokes at the
So
top.
we are here with Sarah Pyramid Lung Gamm. Thank. All right.
Hello.
Thank you for being here, buddy.
Yeah, you're welcome.
I think the best way to start is if you would be just able to, tell people who you are and your background and little things you'd like to share about yourself.
My background is quite curvy, so I don't know where to start with that. But Sarah Gamm, I am born and raised in Missouri, so I am a farm girl. And I came out to DC in 2006 after college, and here's where somehow I've stayed since then. I've mostly supported the Department of Defense intel community. I don't know which camera to look at. Where do I look? Do I look at you guys?
You can just look at us. It's all
Okay.
good. So,
All right.
just for reference, I made fun of him the first episode because he had the same.
I'm looking
I was
all
the
over the
same
place.
way.
You're on that camera, buddy. So if
Okay.
you want to talk directly to whoever's watching this, you can.
All right, cool.
But otherwise,
There are options. Options are fun.
Yeah, I know. Sorry.
So
Go on.
I
He looked at the wall one time, and I'm like, "Well, dude, you're not even trying." He's like, "Hi, I'm Ken Holmes," and I'm like, "Dude, you're fucking up
too
real
many
bad."
options that I'm not going to pick any of them.
Yeah.
So I'm
Yeah.
going to stare at the ceiling or the wall.
Yep.
So I mostly have been working in classified jobs and looking at satellite imagery, classified satellite imagery from space. So in that curvy road, I've also gotten, so my undergrad's in astrophysics and my master's is in countering weapons of mass destruction. So between the two, it's been an interesting road. So right now I'm doing nuclear campaign analysis support for the Air Force and the Pentagon. And I have done some other nuclear, I'll call it analysis work. Not analysis isn't the right word, but for ODNI, Office of Director of National Intelligence, did about 10 years as being a Govy with National Geospatial Intelligence Agency, or NGA for short. Other parts of the career I've touched with supporting NASA very briefly and mostly with NRO, National Reconnaissance Office.
Oh.
So it's been a really fun, adventurous road where I've been able to help fight terrorism and travel and do all kinds of things that I really never thought that this Earth journey would bring me.
I love it. That's awesome. And you also said so many amazing, accomplished things in there. I don't even know where to start. Also, just for reference, because we're meeting for the first time, he's the smart one. I'm the goofy one. So
Okay.
a lot of the things you just said went, pfft, but he'll jump in if.
I'm like, oh, cool. Nice.
Yeah.
Like,
You can nerd out.
yeah.
So the one thing, all of it's interesting. Your masters, the weapons of mass destruction. Where did you go?
Countering weapons of mass
You're not
Well,
countering. Yeah, sorry.
Yeah.
What made you want to do that? Where did you go for that?
That's such a good question. So I am actually on the advisory board for the physics department that I graduated from in Missouri. So it was Missouri State. And I was going...
Mizzou?
Well, no, not Mizzou.
Oh,
Mizzou's
okay,
in
sorry.
Columbia.
Never mind.
I was a bear.
You fucked up, dude,
I know,
already.
that's-
God damn it.
Yeah. Mizzou was actually a little too close to home because I needed to
Oh, yeah, well,
I needed a further drive
I can
from
little
my
way from the
hometown
farm.
whenever I first went to college. And they also had where I went had a really good physics and astronomy type program. Their observatory was outside of city lights, and so I just I don't know, it was still like a big town but a small town feel, and it was definitely the right choice for me. But I'm on the advisory board for the physics department, so I go back once a year. Usually try to get back once a year for our meeting. And one of these meetings ended up meeting somebody that was like, "Oh, you live out in Virginia? Have you been to our satellite campus?" Like, what? I've been there for like a decade and I don't know about this. So organized a tour, because it was like in a high-rise building in Fairfax. So organized a tour in the high-rise building with the department head. And he was like, "Oh, we have a fellowship program. So if you have a clearance and you work and you're a government employee, you could get this master's for free." And I was like, you know what? I'll apply. Why not? Like,
That's
this
dope.
sounds super cool. And both of my degrees are from the same place. So that was really neat. And it's a fellowship program that unfortunately no longer exists, but it was through the National Defense University at Fort McNair in D.C. And we graduated, my class graduated in July of 2019, and we're all still friends and close with each other. So it was like, kind of found a family along this really difficult road and journey that I decided to do. Because I joked when I first went into the program that I science, not English. So I had to learn how to English, and turns out it's actually kind of helpful.
Cool. When you get into that program, like, is there a, let's say, sobering moment where you sit down there and like, all right, here's the weapons of mass destruction, and you're like, oh God, like this, like, what's that like?
Well, I understood how the boom happened, but I didn't understand the history. I of course knew of like the Manhattan Project, but I didn't know the like more intimate history and all the details that go into just counterproliferation. I didn't really know what the word meant. It was very difficult for me because I am a very positive person. I leave like a trail of glitter everywhere I go. And so to go to these classes and learn about, bio warfare and, chem warfare and what people, do to each other, and the history of chem and bio is very scary. And there were
very
some
dark.
days I would learn about some bio things, and my classmates would know not to be like, okay, Sarah, turn your head.
No.
We're going to show a picture now. And I'm like, I can't do this. I'll like vomit or cry or something. And
That would have been me.
yeah, so I would go
Yeah.
home and I would turn on, Little Mermaid, or I'd turn on a Disney movie to make my brain happy again. Or I'd call my dad, because my dad's still farming. I'm like, Dad, did you get vaccine for Q fever? Did you know you could get that from livestock? And so I'd be like freaking out, thinking it was definitely a hard topic. And then when I actually worked and supported, national, global nuclear things, it was equally just as hard, because I am a positive person, and so I'm also a psychic medium. So I'm doing this, like these spiritual classes, and I'm doing readings, and I'm doing stuff for people that is like more of a positive, happy, loving note. And then during the day, I'm dealing with nuclear issues worldwide of potential use or something like that. So it's been an interesting journey.
So you weren't only studying just the boom, you were studying the coughs and the sniffles that came with it as well.
We covered the gamut.
Oh, that's a depressing. Whew, man.
Trying to make this light. Do you ever get like laugh to yourself if someone's like, "Well, I've seen Oppenheimer, so I understand where you're coming from." Does that ever get like odd?
I actually haven't. I really, really liked Oppenheimer, just from the concept of the things that I have learned, and all these people were actually alive at one time, and seeing it from a different perspective, but also knowing what is put on your shoulders and on your heart for being responsible for doing this. So yeah, I totally cried multiple times throughout the movie, and it's interesting seeing the world through my eyes of the spiritual aspect of it. So I've been able to go to the first continuously operated nuclear reactor at Oak Ridge before, and so
it's in Chicago, right?
Tennessee.
Okay.
You weren't even
Nowhere close. I was in the Midwest.
Somewhere in the Midwest, where it gets humid in the summers.
Remember earlier when I said he's the smart? Never mind. I'm sorry.
Yeah, and so seeing this stuff where like big history was made, and then knowing the repercussions of it is just it's an interesting like perspective. Like I do a little pivot and kind of tune into spirit, like, how are you guys feeling about this, and stuff like that. Yeah.
Are they usually like, the f*** are you doing?
It's more like, yeah, we know what we did, and we're sorry, but like it had to happen.
My bad.
Yeah.
You're welcome for the power.
Yeah.
Not related at all, but you just threw this out there, so I'm curious. Are you a Disney fan? Sorry.
Big Disney fan.
Yeah.
Huge.
Cool.
Yeah. I will, as an adult, and I'm sure my family makes fun of this for me every time. I'm the world's biggest Toy Story fan. And
Respectable.
now, even to this day, this happened last year. I was at Disney World with a group of my best friends, and it was a surprise visit. One of my best friends and I were cutting through Toy Story Land to get to Galaxy World to meet our other group of friends.
That's what's up.
And Woody pops out, and they're going, like, him and Jesse are going to their station, so you take pictures with them. So I know the rules. I know you're not supposed to take selfies with them, but I kind of like hopped in front of him a little bit and took a selfie of Woody behind me. He ended up walking up to me and gave me a side hug and a pat.
Aw.
I cried so hard.
Oh, buddy. So also high five. So reason I'm high fiving you, I met my wife working at Disney World.
Oh my gosh.
You know what ride I worked on? Toy Story, Midway Mania.
Oh, it's such a good ride.
I knew we were on the same wavelength.
Oh, yeah. So I totally cried. And my bestie I was walking with, so Jessie ended up giving me a selfie and a half hug too. And I was already like, my face is beet red. I have sunglasses on, so you can't see like the tears. But my picture with her, it was already like I felt so bad. So I was like, I don't care right now. Like this was Woody patted me on my shoulder.
Aw.
It was and my family's like, Sarah, they're fake. They're not real. I'm like, I don't care. You
Like,
guys suck.
You're not real.
Let me live in my own world.
Yeah. If you knew the things I knew, you would want to go there too.
Yeah, big Disney fan.
Cool. Right on. Right on. Right on. You worked on the UAP task force, right?
I did.
Tell us about
briefly.
that.
I first got on it because of curiosity, and there was a report that talked about UAP scene in somewhere in the world over a nuclear missile site. And I had just gotten my CWMD degree, so I was like, oh my gosh, and I have this astrophysics. But I grew up being a huge X-Files fan.
Cool.
So my life made sense in this moment and put me in coach. And so I started just kind of offering help. And then eventually my deputy director I was supporting the research directorate at NGA. And my deputy director was going around asking for people to be a part of this task force and to support the NGA lead. And I'm bouncing off my seat. And so I end up basically injecting myself officially on it. That's how I got on it. But we looked at, pardon me, pyramid lung is still a little issue.
We'll talk about that in a second. Because people watching this are probably like, what the hell is pyramid
what
lung?
in the world? That's a new one. Yes, it is new. I made up the term.
Patient zero over here.
No, I cannot claim that one.
No, okay, no, not patient zero.
But I totally just injected myself, and I didn't take no for an answer from my deputy director. And I knew him well at that point. We'd known each other for many years. I was doing SAR, synthetic aperture radar imagery support, so that community is really small. So I'd known him for a while, and he knew my personality, and I wouldn't give up. So I think he mostly just like caved in and was like, yeah, okay, yeah, you could do this. But yeah, so that was kind of my intro into it. And then I was able to use my astrophysics degree, which was really cool because every once in a while we'd get videos of Venus. And so I'm like, guys, that's Venus. And so I'd be able to, or a bolide, which people I learned didn't really know what that was. And so it's just a really bright fireball. It's like a bright meteorite. And so I'm like, guys, that's a bolide. And people are like, that makes no sense. Is that
the sickness, like the stomach?
Yeah.
Like,
yeah. So I was able to use multiple degrees, but also my imagery analysis background, which the analysis brain is very analytical. Right, so I'm able to go through the steps of like an experiment and like, okay, would this be able to be duplicated? So it was a really fun time. It was kind of a sidebar for my main job, so it wasn't a full-time thing. I met a lot of amazing people and still friends with quite a few of them now.
Your director is like, I'll just give her some light busy work, and then you're into it, and she's like, oh my god, this lady's brilliant. Like she knows what's up. Like she's using words like bolide and like.
That's awesome. And then what? Because you're not on it anymore, is that right? Or
No.
What made you want to leave?
Well, I got a job actually to do some nuclear stuff to use my degree.
That's right. You said, okay, cool.
So I ended up leaving and kind of supported on a sidebar type thing for a little bit, and was unofficially being able to provide that's Venus again. Sorry, type advice, not advice, support.
Sure, gotcha. Just answer some like easy, like, oh, I know what that is questions.
Yeah, or just BS, because we'd be in a chat room and just, we became close. Like a handful of us became close friends, and so we just like BS with each other and enjoy, I guess, getting to know each other, even though we were virtual. Some of us hadn't met in person, and it was pretty neat.
Yeah. That's awesome.
A lot of us through in our world through COVID. I mean, that's how we, got to
No.
learn and
Yeah.
get to know each other virtually.
Yeah,
And then
yeah.
eventually, once it's all over, we all have a nice family reunion. And
Yeah,
It's
it's
fun.
really cool. Like one of the guys, he's somewhere else in the country, and so him and I still haven't met. But he's a good friend and a trusted person in my life. Where I know if I needed help or to talk about anything, he'd be there for me. But we still haven't met, which is
That's
really
fun.
neat. Yeah.
height is the one thing Zoom does not discern. I swear. You meet somebody for the first time that you haven't met before, but you connect with them over Zoom all the time. You're like, man, I thought you were going to be way taller than what you actually are.
That's funny.
Or like because I first started my job during at OD&I, pardon me, during the pandemic, so everybody's wearing masks all the time. So the first time we didn't have masks on, I'm like, you have a goatee under there?
Yeah, right.
Well, I never would have guessed.
So before, when I met my now wife, before we got to we actually met on a Facebook singles group for people going to work at Disney.
Oh,
and we were chatting. Victoria's laughing. I don't love that. All right, take it easy, Victoria. Ken's wife. Yeah, it's real funny. Laugh it. No, I'm kidding. That's all right. But
She hunted me down,
we-
so it's fine.
we met on a Facebook singles group, and in that same vein, I just am goofy, and she was like, we were talking about how I told her I was 4'7", and she said she had a moment of panic where she's like, no, and she's like starting to like be analytical and like compare me to heights of other people and be like, there's no
looking,
way.
at, looking at you compared to the door frame.
Yeah.
Like,
Yep. She's like, how
Depending
far
what
away?
gas station you walk out of, the height bar.
Yeah, that's funny. So in that same vein as the UAP task force, now let's talk about Egypt. Just out of curiosity, did you ever cross paths? Have you ever met with Lou Elizondo? Oh
Yes,
my
I
gosh,
have.
what's he like?
He is an incredible soul. I first met him years ago. We initially met because of the task force, and him and his family. I have not stated this publicly, so this is my first time, but I consider them family. They are incredible people. He has the kindest soul, and almost to a point to where I'm like, are you serious? Are you being genuine? But he really is. Like he is so genuinely kind, so truthful. We both have a similar personality. Like I'm typically pretty blunt, especially with people that I know really well. They know my bluntness still comes from a place of love and care. And he's the same way. So we both can just have this immediate trust with each other of we've experienced some similar things that we've been able to, like, he's a person I've been able to discuss, like the first person I shared the blue being that came in my bedroom. So he was the first one that I shared about that. So it's he's very caring, very good person.
How did he react when you told him that?
His reaction was, wait till you read my book.
Okay, yeah, which
Like his
great book.
Yeah, his book was of course, going through public review and all kinds of stuff for quite a while, and then he had to end up rewriting a few things because of Pentagon and public release and all that. Whenever he said that, and so when I got to a point in his book where the orbs were going through his house, I was like, oh my gosh, now I know what you're talking about, and so then we were able to discuss it a little bit more. A handful of things was like, wait till my book's out. I loved his book. I cried a few times, did not anticipate when his parents were, ill. And I also knew him when his father passed. And so I knew that real time. So it was interesting seeing a different perspective of him and his family and what they've all been through. And knowing it kind of gave me more courage to be able to come forward. Like they literally risked everything to do what they're doing now. And so I just thought, I could do this. I don't have as much as them. I don't have children of my own yet. And so I thought, it kind of gave me a little boost of confidence and courage to be able to come forward.
Totally, yeah. His book was amazing, and one thing that stood out to me is the way he wrote about his childhood and his father, and that's just such an interesting background and like a way to grow up. So I found that unique. And the last point on him, and then we can get off because I want to hear about you, not
Okay.
I don't want you to talk about something the whole time. But like same as you and same as Lou, I always get a little bummed when people are like disinformation, all that stuff. And it's
Yeah.
like, I don't know, maybe not. I don't know what any of those terms mean,
Mm-hmm.
but I do know that like he was one of the main driving forces behind the 2017 New York Times article.
Mm-hmm.
And you're out here talking, being candid. We're not paying you.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
you're just here.
Definitely getting no money.
Yeah, you're here on your own good graces. So
Mm-hmm.
it's I don't know, like if there is some incentive, whatever, like I'm just a person that lives in this country and has a good life, and I'm grateful for that. And like there was, even if it is, which I'm not saying it is because I'm a trusting person, I guess, but like there's more information out now because of his actions than before 2017. And it's like, well, I don't know, like that seems positive to me. So
Yeah. The stigma's definitely changed significantly since then, which has been incredible, especially starting working on the task force in 2019. And we were getting like very few reports in, or people would laugh at us when we were trying to work on a project together. And now, stuff, airline pilots are reporting, the Navy's reporting all kinds of stuff now. So the stigma's definitely changed a lot. But what's also interesting is like this, presidents used to talk about this.
Yeah.
Like we have video coverage of Eisenhower, of like multiple presidents talking about this, and still people to this day are like, no, this is disinformation.
And Jimmy Carter himself,
yeah,
like when he was a kid, saw.
Yeah.
Like, there are presidents who have discussed this time and time again, and then there's still people saying that is not true. But we forget our history, right?
Right.
And then that could lead up to Egypt as well. But it's so sad that some of these people are being so brave and coming forward, and we're saying we're not alone, but yet we're not the first people to say that. We've been saying this for well over 50 years.
Yeah.
for sure.
And-
I feel like it's just like the good old boys club that's so antiquated in their ways. They're like,
Yeah.
no. We mustn't say anything. We mustn't. Is the public even ready? Do you think,
I mean,
for the truth,
are you
or
ever
is
ready
there?
for
Yeah,
something though? Like our egos are always protecting us.
yeah.
And so I think that answer would always be no, just because of how we're wired.
Right.
But I think the earth, I think people are changing. We're coming more into what's called the awakening. And I think we're getting there. But I always think that, as humans, you're always planning. You're like planning out for what you're going to have for supper. You're planning, bills and vacations. And so we're always planning something. We're always living in the future instead of in the now. And I think more people are starting to live in the now and realizing that, we might have a face-to-face encounter at some point in the next few years.
Yeah, and also like the ontological shock of that. If people like you and people like Lou weren't out talking about it, would probably be way greater than if you weren't. And so like at least like people like me or Ken or whoever's watching this or whoever listened to the UAP
My mom's
hearings.
definitely watching this.
Your mom, yeah, Ken's mom. Ken's mom needs to
She's
be
our
ready.
number one fan.
Like that is helping people because there will be, like you said, are we ever ready? No. Like
Yeah.
there'll be moments of
We're
shock.
still
and-
going to be in our minds and worried about the future and potential economy collapse and like all kinds of fallout from that. But I mean, yeah, I could talk. I don't know if you want to talk about Egypt yet, but there is like so much stuff that happened, hieroglyphs and things that are in Egypt where it's like we worked with these entities.
Let's get into it. Yeah.
We actually, like, how did we forget after?
Because I got some theories.
Thousands of years,
I got some
and
theories.
they worked with us. Multiple races out there worked with us, and so Egypt had we visited a lot of pyramids and temples, and very present in multiple places were hieroglyphs of giant humans levitating blocks in place.
Right.
Like, and it wasn't chiseled out. Like, these were displayed, not in the back corner, not through a tunnel. It was levitation. Levitation was happening with these, 50-ton blocks, granite blocks or limestone blocks. There was even a place we went that had hieroglyphs of spaceships. And the room we were in, a spaceship would come and land and take off, and the ceiling hinged a bit, and there was a djinn, like a genie, on the wall. There was even a hieroglyph of a helicopter in one place. Like,
Crazy.
this place was, they think that it was at least 50,000 years old. It was it existed before the Egyptians were utilizing the place. And then there were blue beings. There were black beings that they depicted as coming from outer space, and blue beings. There were reptilians on hieroglyphs. There were mermaids and ape people, and I mean, I have pictures of all of these.
And you're saying these are depicted in the hieroglyphs.
Yeah.
Where was this? Like what?
Luxor had the Luxor at Karnak Temple had a handful of blue beings on the wall. And I believe that was, I hope I get this right. I hope the crew's not going to be mad at me. Amun-Ra, and so Amun-Ra was depicted as a blue person when it was a god here on Earth, and when he was depicted as in space, he appeared black on the hieroglyphs.
Interesting.
And so there were different places that had, I'm trying to think of where we saw the 8 people. It was an 8 person and like even a mermaid, right, like almost right beside each other. And that was towards the end. I think that was somewhere around Aswan. So we did like went on the Nile cruise from Luxor down to Aswan. They're all blending together, but it was, it might have been the Temple of Horus. So yeah, all these beings that we now are like, know the reptilians, and they're these like frog people, like on all of these hieroglyphs, there are frog people, and there's even some in this place that had fish heads but human bodies, and it looked like they were swimming underwater.
Oh, wow. Yeah, no, that's
Like, why don't they teach this? Why isn't this on the History Channel?
or at least when you learn about ancient Egypt in grade school, at least.
Like,
And not you don't even have to have an opinion one way or the other. Just be like, hey, this is there. You figure it out, but that's what it.
And it's obvious stories of these giant humans, and there were some like normal sized people, but these giant humans were helping levitate. Like they would have a image of a temple, and then these giant humans and like this like chain of energy, which was like the levitation that would go around the blocks and putting the blocks in place to build the temple.
And the stories were depicting that. Oh, okay, that's wild.
Crazy.
One thing I just want to ask, because you mentioned 50,000 years. This is your department, but you can't carbon date rock, right? So
Right.
how did they come to that conclusion?
So we did ask.
You can do different things.
Oh, you can? Okay.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm asking.
So because we asked that, and there were like different tests, and some of them because they would find like flint arrows. There was one of the museums we went to had some flint arrows that were like over 1 million years old, and you're like, how do you test flint? But there's like geology, like the area that it's found in, and the geologic layers, and a handful of other tests that I don't remember the words that were used.
There's one that you can use. It's called cosmogenic radionuclei. It's a test that you can do, and it's basically like a suntan for a rock. And it's
This is why I love
basically
this
like,
man.
you just like, you can see how long the rock has been exposed to the sun. So like then from there, you know how long it's
cool.
been like cut and when it's been placed, and
That's nuts.
it's
So then,
CRNs.
was there any stories or depictions of, right? If this was true, if this was like a real time capture of moments that happened, what happened to them? Did they leave? Did they stay? What?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was like the main thing. That after we would leave a place, we would just go, we know nothing. What happened?
Right. What the hell was that?
What happened to us? Why did we forget we were like intimately working with these beings, and we appeared like it? It was just I have no words because it's mind blowing. Every place we left, I would just go, we know nothing.
Yeah.
We don't know our history. We
Well-
don't, especially if somebody like flint tools that were very small, precisely cut over 1 million years ago.
Right. There are no lasers. As far as we know.
Yeah.
And then there were conundrum. It was a really hard, like almost diamond level hardness.
Oh, you're talking about corundum.
That one.
Yes.
Thank you.
Yep. It's sapphires, rubies.
Yeah, but
That's
but
the,
there was
that's the
a
mineral.
a bowl or a jar that was made, very precisely cut, very like not quite polished to where it's like, you know, your diamonds and stuff are polished, but very smooth on the outside. There were handles that were curved. There's a hole in the middle, and the hole was curved a little bit along with the bowl, and they have no idea. The only thing that could cut that material now is a diamond cutter.
A diamond, yeah. Because the diamonds are this hardest thing known to man. On the Mohs scale of hardness, they're a 10, 10 out of 10.
Yeah.
And corundum is a 9.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
So
Oh, I just got goosebumps. Yeah.
What would be 10 then? Like what's harder than that?
diamond.
Diamond.
A diamond.
Oh, a diamond.
Diamond's
A diamond
hardest.
is 10.
I'm gonna go. Good to see you all.
Yeah.
All right. I'm sorry.
But I tell you what, like if you like, you know, regardless of what side you're on, if you believe in ancient aliens, if you believe in the traditional, school of thought, the pyramids were built before they invented the wheel. Straight up, like they built those before they invented the wheel. Coincidentally, woolly mammoths were also still walking the earth. So I think they just banded a bunch of woolly mammoths together and just
Made him jet.
it's like, yeah.
Can you imagine a woolly mammoth as a pet? Like, come here,
Yeah,
boy.
right. It's like in the desert.
Like snuggling with it. Like you're my support woolly mammoth.
Like Tatooine or something.
Yeah,
and,
exactly. You got some
looks
banthas
a
out
little
there.
cold
like-
today and needs a little snuggle.
This is so much fun. Oh man. So, well, let's keep talking about Egypt, and then I want to circle back on something you said. Okay, so you saw that. What was like some highlights besides this hieroglyphics?
I would say because of
Hieroglyphic highlights.
my spiritual side, I'm not the same. I'm like transcended consciously.
I'm doing it too. It's okay,
words
buddy.
today
Words are
are a
hard.
struggle.
It's what you say,
but I'm-
Mercury retrograde.
Yeah,
That's what we're
it is Mercury retrograde,
All right, we're having
yeah.
a rough time here.
Yeah. But I am transcended. I am transformed. It was a very spiritual group. It was mostly UAP related people that were together, and I miss every single one of them. There were around 20-ish of us. I forget how many in the group, and we ended up there was this beyond ancient room that we were in. We were allowed. It was very, it felt, the energy felt there was very old, but also really powerful. Like the place was created on like a vortex type thing or something. And so we were allowed time to meditate in there. And I immediately left my body and I transported. And sometimes when I meditate, I cry because like you release toxins and stuff with tears, but I don't realize I'm crying in my meditation. So until I wake up and my face is wet, and I'm like, and that's what happened. I'm like, why am my face wet? Why do I have tears everywhere? And I need a hug. And so that was probably one of the most impactful days for me. So this place was so old that the walls, like the Egyptians, respected it enough that they actually didn't even cover the walls in hieroglyphs. There were places that didn't have hieroglyphs in these walls, and you could feel the respect and the sanctuary of the places. Another I think moment was when I first noticed the blue being on a wall. I ran up to our Egyptologist, and I'm like, hey, that's blue, right? Am I imagining that? There's still paint on that. That's blue. Like I had a blue being in my room, and now that I've come forward about this blue being, I've been receiving all these lovely messages from people confiding in me that they've also had blue beings visit them. So it was just this connection to Egypt. Like I've been here in a past life, and so I think the whole trip was just unbelievable and memorable, but that meditation that day was when I really changed. I felt transformed.
That's awesome.
So the
That's
the Great Pyramid of Khufu. Mm-hmm. There's never been
guys, that was
any mummies
amazing.
found in there.
Yeah.
What do you think's going on there?
So there were definitely some places we visited where there was a sarcophagus in the middle, and I was like, there's never been anything in this. And then
Yeah.
I would learn, the Egyptologist would be like, actually, yeah, we never found anything in here. But I would have like a knowing and my spiritual side. So we actually got we got 2 hours of private time in the Great Pyramid. And in that chamber, in the king's chamber, the upper chamber, we sat and ohmed. And the red granite rock just reverberates. And it was, even if you weren't a spiritual person, you enjoyed the sound. And so we would sit in the sarcophagus we took 3 minutes and sat in the sarcophagus. And the sound that reverberated in there was just unbelievable. But the pyramid itself felt like power. It felt like electricity. And then the step pyramid in Saqqara also was electricity to me. It felt like it was like a beacon type thing or some sort of power that emitted energy out into not just Earth, but into outer space as well.
So Saqqara is where they also had those granite boxes, right?
Yes,
did you get to see those?
Serapeum.
Yeah.
Oh, that was incredible. I got goosebumps thinking about it. Yeah.
Did they put bulls in?
Yeah.
Allegedly or whatever,
these,
but like
just like seeing box after box in these boxes, I'm going to get this wrong.
they're like perfect.
Yeah, they are
right?
absolutely perfect. And they are like 80 ton total or something, ridiculous weight, maybe 50 tons, I forget now. But it's carved out of red granite. And they are, the perfect 90-degree angles. And they have no idea how they got all these boxes in these limestone tunnels. And these tunnels weren't huge either. Like we could stand up straight walking in them and there was still room above our heads. But it was just unbelievable. And I, definitely touched a few. Got in trouble. I got in trouble a lot.
Wait, you're not allowed to touch those boxes?
No.
It's literally made of stone.
I got in trouble quite a bit for touching things. Like sometimes it was like gravity. Like I would go up to something and touch it. I'd zone out, not even realize I was doing it. And then somebody would go, Sarah, stop touching that. And I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm so sorry. I didn't realize.
So like if you touch it, you get pyramid lung. So
yeah, apparently maybe that is the reason why I got sick was Sarah, stop climbing on that. And every once in a while, I'm like,
you're climbing on top of the sarcophagus.
I'm getting like, turned into my 5-year-old self of my mother yelling at me. I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm so sorry.
Oh, that's so sweet.
Yeah.
The group you were with, you were telling us off. Are you allowed to say the names that were there, or should we not?
Yeah, I mean, there were, so Chris Lito, so I was talked with him on his podcast. He was there, and Ross Coulthart,
Nice.
And a few other people that are supporters that I definitely won't mention. But JP Haig was there. He was actually JP and Ross were the ones that put the whole thing together.
That's awesome.
And made it so it was a purposeful trip to talk about UAP and spirituality. So we actually, on the boat one night, it was our first night on the Nile cruise, and we saw a bunch of UAPs.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah,
What did they look like?
They were orbs. So there's a handful of people that are able to like summon them in. And so one of the guys was like, hey, Sarah, can you summon these in? I'm like, I've never tried. I've never thought about it. Like, let's give it a whirl. So one night we were attempting it and it didn't work. And so I messaged one of my good friends and he was able to like summon them in, but they're orbs. So like they come in as orbs and so he was like, I'll send some to you. And so I'm like, but did I do this right? And so he's giving me advice. And so he's like, just go out tonight and I'll send some to you. And between our powers, you're going to see something. And we were all sitting on the top deck and telling stories. We were actually swapping stories with each other and getting to know each other still fairly early on in the trip. And one of the guys was talking this direction from me. And I saw something on the horizon, like above his head. And I was like, that's an airplane. My, analytic brain, like, that's an airplane. And the guy sitting beside me also saw it. And so we were both looking at each other and didn't want to be rude to interrupt the person that we are just now getting to know talking. Mm-hmm. He's telling this awesome story. And then another one appears and we're like, that wasn't blinking, right? That wasn't an airplane. That was... So we're both still staring. And then more people are noticing that we're staring and not paying attention to... And the story that was being told was really good. And so finally, the third one that appeared, we both were like, okay, we have to say something. Okay. And it was like an orange orb, and it didn't just like pop up and appear. It like slowly faded in and then would get brighter and would travel, and then it would just like slowly fade out. And then another one would appear and go in a different direction, or it would be at a different altitude. And then another one looked like it was coming at us and would get brighter. And everybody was like freaking out and like, oh my gosh, this is happening. This is so cool. And some of the guys had like, little night vision scopes and went and got them. And so it lasted for, I'd say 15, 20 minutes where there were different ones popping in and out. And
wild.
so that was my first time experiencing that.
That's
that was
so
really
cool.
cool.
So like very different from a meteorite.
Yes, very much. And one of the guys had flight patterns, had the airline information on an app. And so he pulled that up and he was like, there's no flight traffic here. There's like, so everybody's doing the debunking, right?
Right, right.
No, this is balloons. This isn't a drone. This is like, so we're all trying to figure out what it was. It was really incredible. It was a special moment to share with with not strangers at that point, definitely not strangers now, but a group of like-minded souls.
Yeah, totally. Were the orbs all the same color?
Yeah, they were all orange. It was also, they appeared lower on the horizon, and of course, here's my astrophysics brain, because the lower on the horizon, you're looking through a lot more light pollution, and through more dust and stuff, because it's Egypt and sand and dust and everything. So you're looking through more atmosphere on there. So I also am wondering if they were orange because they were lower on the horizon. But my friend that helped me summon them in, or he sent them to us, he said they usually do appear orange.
Orange? Oh, interesting. Lou Elizondo, in his conversation with Jesse Michaels, he said that, like, or maybe Jesse, somebody said they were together at where Lou lives and they had a green one come. And it sounds like there's like a bunch of different colors. Do we know like what that is, why they're different colors, or?
I don't. Somebody actually asked me that on the trip, and I had never thought of it like, from that aspect, like maybe they're different races or something. I don't know. I don't know that answer. I do know. I did talk with a new friend. I've met. I have a lot of new friends through this journey since I've come forward. So one of my new friends I was talking with recently, and he actually is looking at trying to capture them on like a hyperspectral camera to see the different chemical signatures, absorption and emission lines.
Oh yeah.
And to see if, like, because of course green. So when you see a meteorite and it's different colors, so there's green meteorites, you'll see blue. Of course, clear. So that's different. It's made of different components, made of different things. So he's also thinking these orbs are maybe made of different elements or something too. So he's looking into getting some like hyperspectral type cameras.
That was going to be my question.
to see.
I wonder if it's different compounds.
Yeah. So he's trying to see if he could come up with what they're made of from looking at the emission lines.
That's so cool. Yeah. Right on.
Yeah.
I love science.
Yeah. It's
very cut and dry.
Yeah.
Like
you two are on the same wavelength. I'm doing my best. Trying to make you proud, Mom. All right. So definitely want to get into your spiritual side of things because you've mentioned it a bunch. Before we do, I did want to circle back just because I just noticed a parallel. You mentioned like, oh, maybe in a few years we'll be face to face with something. You never know. Could be a hypothetical.
Yeah.
Other people in the know that we've mentioned so far in our conversation has also floated that maybe something is going to be happening. It's like, is it definite? Like, it's not.
Yeah.
We don't know. I guess.
I don't know what Lou knows.
Gotcha.
So I have actually not directly asked him because I know like there's some information that he probably would want to tell me and can't or whatever. So I've never actually asked him what he means by things that he's alluded to or said.
It's funny because I didn't say Lou, but I got you.
Yeah. Well, you mentioned of a person we talked about already.
Yeah. I'm just joking.
But I can't imagine a world, especially in our lifetime, like how far we've come, of them not showing up.
Yeah.
So that's what I mean is in my opinion, like we're so close and we've come so far in the past, at least 5 years even. And then I definitely hear of different dates. I've heard 2028, I've heard 2032, 2040, and all these different dates. And I don't focus on the date. I just focus on why wouldn't they show up?
Yeah.
And
sure.
I follow a few people that do channeling, and so one of them did talk about like when they do show up, they'll kind of show up on a horizon. So there's what was the movie? What the bleep do we know? Whenever like the Pilgrims started coming in, Native Americans were like, "What is that on the horizon? We don't know what the ship is." And so it takes a while for your brain to click and to understand what the ship was and to form. And so what one of the channelers that I follow, he talked about that's kind of something that they'll do is show up on over water to know that they're not going to be over a city like in some of our movies that we have, and not going to invade. But
Our scary movies.
yeah, and so they'll show up and kind of be over water for a little bit to say like we're here, and I am an optimist, and I hope that ends up happening and in my lifetime, in our lifetime. I don't see why not.
Yeah.
What's showing up? What's acceptance? You know what I mean? Like, do they have to like, you know, Day the Earth Stood Still style, like land on the White House lawn and come out? Like, you know, I don't know. What is going to be the straw that broke the camel's back that have people be like,
Whoa!
oh my God!
Holy
Like,
moly.
yeah.
Sure. And even when
hide
it,
your children.
yeah.
Like-
Even when it does happen, there'll be if it happens, there'll be for sure people that are like, it's all a government hoax, and it's like it's literally happening in real time.
Yeah.
Like, how could they?
Well, I mean, even people still like I get asked if we really landed on the moon, and I
love
don't
that
comment on that. I'm like, I'm not gonna. You're gonna believe what you want, no matter what I say. You're still gonna believe what you want. So, especially from a spiritual aspect, I'm not here to force my spiritual beliefs on anybody else. I'm just here speaking my truth and what I know and what I can do, and loved ones that I could talk to on the other side, but I'm not forcing you to believe it. And people are like, no matter what they see or feel, they're still going to believe what they want, and that's okay.
Yeah, for sure. You have to come to your own conclusions in your own time, and if you
Yeah,
it's not going to
everybody's
work.
on their own journey, and I, even, a guy I was dating while I was going through my spiritual classes, he didn't believe in what I was doing, and I was like, that's fine. This is my journey. This doesn't have to be yours. And after I explained to him, like, you don't have to believe what I'm doing. I'm okay with that. And he actually ended up being pretty comfortable with it all, and seeing me develop and change in front of him was enough for him to be like, oh, there might be something to this, but it still isn't his journey, right?
Yeah,
It
totally.
was, everybody's separate. We're all here to learn something different, and that's what's really fun about Earth School is how different we all are.
Yeah, it's 1000%. And in that same vein, like your boyfriend and like my wife, things I'm not maybe comfortable talking about publicly, but I've shared with you. Like, she's like, okay, sure, like I do you. I don't understand. Like,
Yeah, and to have that respect with each other.
Yeah.
Of knowing that we are on separate journeys, but we're working to be one as
Yeah.
well at the same time.
For sure.
It's pretty cool. I don't know. I'm rambling now. I'll
No, you're
stop.
great. You're totally fine. The crying through meditation also, because that happens to me sometimes. And so my wife came and she goes, "What's wrong? Are you okay?" And I'm like, "I'm peaceful." She's
Yeah.
like, "Okay, all
I know
right."
it's the weirdest feeling. Like,
Yeah.
like I have tears, and I'm like, when did I start leaking? This is so
Yeah.
bizarre, but it's also cathartic because there's something that was there that you had to release.
Yep.
And so, and even after that meditation in Egypt, I could not stop crying for a while.
Yeah.
And so we would be walking on, and I'm like, thankfully the temple was dark because I'm still like leaking, and I'm like, okay, why can't I stop now? Like,
Yeah.
all right, well, just let it flow. Like, it's whatever just happened. I had to release something from my body.
For sure. Let's get into this before I did want to ask you, just see what you think. Do you know about the Coral Castle in Florida?
Yeah, I've heard,
That's cool, right?
Super cool.
Do you know
'Cause
what I'm talking about?
Yeah, that like
Yeah.
rich dude built it for his wife or something,
And
and
didn't he,
like
was that the place where he talked about levitating stuff? Yeah, okay.
So the story, alleged story behind it is that he would make these giant stone-esque structures. He would do it at night on his own, and he was like, I mean, he looked more sickly than me. So like he was a
I'm
relative.
like agree. I'm like, I didn't mean to agree. That
Yeah,
you're
no,
sickly,
that's
but he
okay.
was very.
I'm gonna go cry in the bathroom about something else.
He was not a large person.
Yeah, he was and he built these amazing, beautiful statues. The stones weighed several tons. Like you couldn't move them on your own without equipment. And he would do it at night, like nobody could hear any. Right? It's like it wasn't in the middle of nowhere. It was in civilization.
Right.
To this day, nobody really knows how he did it. He did say he had tied to Freemasonry, I think.
I don't remember that. I'm sure you're right. I'm sure you're right. I don't remember.
And he said like, he in his writing said, "Oh, I know how they made the pyramids of Egypt," but didn't reveal any information. It was like, "Come on, man."
Yeah, and he talked about levitation, and there was like, what isn't the door, the gate to it, like some difficult like hinge thing put together so you could like swing a door, but like it's difficult to figure out how he did it, or am I making that part up?
No, I think you're right. I know music is a part of it as well. Like he had radios apparently, and it was maybe a certain frequency or pitch. I don't know. Maybe I shouldn't have brought this up.
No.
I don't have any
really
of the
cool,
information.
But it is
So
along the
what you're
lines
saying
of-
is the Force
Yes,
could be real.
Yes.
He's using the Force.
Yeah.
Or Harry Potter. Who knows?
Star Wars is eventually going to have to open with based on a true story.
It says a long time ago in a galaxy far away.
does.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah. Forgotten knowledge. All right.
Okay.
Spiritual side. You want to get into it?
All right.
Let's do it up. I guess same as when you introed yourself. If you're willing to just give us your background. Are you going to time, by the way?
Oh no, I'm good. I was
You good?
fixing my bracelet. It gets stuck under my watch and it's uncomfortable. Neurodivergent brain ends up focusing on stuff, and I have
No
to
worries.
fix it before I could. Yeah.
Yeah, you're great.
it's a very intelligent way of saying I'm ADD.
Yeah, there we go.
Don't worry.
Yeah.
I'm same. I get it. I get it.
there's certain things that, like in some of my podcast interviews, people are like, "Oh, look at her looking down," and I'm like, "Yeah, because I was focusing on a thread on the floor and I couldn't unfocus on it." until it ended
I
up
can
moving.
get that. I know. Maybe with my foot. Like,
Yeah. So, spiritual.
Yeah, let's
Go.
do it. I think because this is your world, your story. Maybe your NDE is a good place to start if you're comfortable with it.
I like
Yeah.
that. Oh, I love talking about NDE is near death experience. I remember a lot about it, and I feel like it was for a reason to share the story. I have sinus issues, and I still do after lots of surgeries.
Yeah.
And
not whooping your issues, but just whooping,
yeah,
commiserating.
commiserating and not being able to breathe properly. So I had a severe deviated septum. In May 10th of 2012, I went in for a septoplasty. Surgery went well, but recovery room did not. I'm very accident prone. And so I've had a lot of surgeries in my life. When I wake up from surgeries, I ask for stickers. And apparently in my groggy waking up state, if there are no stickers, I lose my marbles and I get a little unhappy.
Okay.
So I warn nurses now about stickers. And so they found, in my mind, they were like scrambling trying to find stickers for me so I wouldn't like toss a table when I woke up. And so I wake up from surgery and I ask for stickers, and I don't remember asking for them, but I remember hugging them. And
Oh my God.
And when I was like, my chest, I'm like, oh, I worked so hard for these.
I got the gold star.
Yeah, but they were like stickers from like a teacher, like from somebody's purse. They're like, we have to make her happy.
Oh, that's awesome.
And so it was like
they gave you a stormy cloud.
but it was like A+ student, and you did a great job. So it was a strip of stickers. So I still have them right now. I saved them, of course. So I'm hugging my stickers. I'm so proud of what I've done. And I say, oh, I'm tired. Can I go back to sleep? And the nurse says, yep, not a problem, sweetie. I'll wake you back up in a little bit. And so I close my eyes, hugging my stickers, so proud of my accomplishment. And I hear the nurse say, oh my God, she's not breathing. And I remember seeing blackness and thinking, oh, I pray that somebody's okay. I didn't see anybody else in here with me, but I pray that they're all right. And it was me. So the next thing I know, so I don't know how deep you want to get into things, but the next thing I know, I was in heaven. I'm around family. So I do typically tear up talking about this because I feel it all over again.
Sure.
It was the most beautiful place of love and peace. And if you could imagine the love that you have for, family or for whatever, exponentially more. Like there's no hate, there's no war, there's nothing but love and peace in this place. And it just feels my body. I love talking about it because I feel it all over again. And my family was there, but I saw blackness. I was in complete pitch black. There was no light, but I knew my family was there. I knew a grandparent was beside me. Not all my grandparents had passed away by then. I knew some loved ones that were like parent figures to me were by, and I'm hugging them, and it was just like a moment of celebration, of reuniting. And all of a sudden, I hear a voice, and it said, "You have to go back." And I was like, "Back where? I'm good. Like, this ain't their socks." And so the voice, which God or whoever source may be, but to me it's God, said, "No, you really have to go back. It's not your time right now." I'm like, "No, I'm still good." So we argued, and then my family started arguing as well, telling me like, you this was great. We're always going to be here for you. I'm going to start tearing up.
You're like, you guys are even ganging up on me in the afterlife.
And I'm like, but this isn't fair. And they're like, "No, you have to go. You're not done yet." And I was, how old was I at the time? I was not 30 yet. And so like, you still have to go back. And I'm like, "But this is great. I don't want to go back." And, my family and friends, everybody's going to be okay. And they're like, "No." And the next thing I knew, I woke up. And, but I didn't understand at that time what happened.
Gotcha.
So I just knew I was going to be fine. And God told me I was going to be fine. So when I woke up, I had lots of people around me. I felt no pain. So that actually, after researching NDEs, that is a common thing, to not feel pain when you first come back in your body and don't feel pain for a while. So I felt no pain. I was very confused. I had, I don't know how graphic to get, but I had lungs full of fluid.
Ooh.
And I was coughing it out. But my stomach was also full of the same fluid, and I was vomiting it out. So the coughing
Not supposed
part
to
was
be
a
there.
foam, and the vomit was a liquid. So both of these are happening. And so I'm like, and I can't breathe, and I have stents in my nose from the surgery, so they can't put a breathing tube in. And so they thought I had a pulmonary embolism, and I'm like, I don't know what that is. I have to Google that later. So I remember my thoughts. I remember all this stuff. And I was in an outpatient surgery center, so it took them a few hours to stabilize me, to transport me to the hospital. So I get to Fairfax County Hospital, and they're putting me in the ICU, and I get a port. I have a scar on my neck, so they put a port to my heart. So I remember what that felt like, actually touching my heart. They were reading me. I called it the Miranda rights of a blood transfusion, because I had lost so much blood, and talking about getting a blood transfusion, and I have to accept all this stuff. And I was the worst patient. And they ended up having a vampire cut on my neck, or a vampire bite, because I was not breathing. And my breaths were probably half a second or shorter long. And then I'm still expelling all this stuff from my face. And so, yeah, it was I remember all of this. I remember my thoughts. I remember he's just so much. And the ICU nurse coming in, asking to call my parents. And my ex I was with at the time, he didn't know what to, what am I going to say to your parents? I don't know what's going on. So he's holding my toe. So I'm finally stable.
Just your toe?
Yeah, because my body is still convulsing and not well. And I have my bucket that I'm doing things in. And so my ex is holding my toe because it's the only safe spot to touch on my body. And the ICU nurse comes in a third time and is like, "Honey, we really need to call your parents." And but in my mind, I'm still going to be fine. Yeah. God done told me I'm going to be good.
Right.
So I finally was like, and my ex was looking at me with what am I'm not calling them. And so they called my parents, and unfortunately, my parents get like the worst phone call of their life.
Yeah.
My mama flies out the next day. Dad stays home, and it was like right around Mother's Day. But that next day, I finally felt pain, and it was the worst feeling. I couldn't lift my head. My entire body, head to toe, was sore. Like I literally fought death and won. And the X-rays, they needed to take chest X-rays the next day, and I couldn't even lift my head to slide the X-ray panel behind me. And so they had to get another nurse in to help lift me up. And my poor mom, she came in the hospital and of course just started crying. So I'm limp. I can't move. And yeah, so things changed in my life after that. Like I've always had a positive outlook in life, so that didn't change. But I started having more spiritual stuff happen and more psychic things. And I didn't really understand that was associated with an NDE. But they never figured out what happened.
Really?
I got released from the hospital 5 days later, and I had a team of doctors. I ended up with an amazing heart doctor, because at first they thought I had a heart attack, because when your heart stops and then restarts, it releases a protein similar to a heart attack. So I was treated for all kinds of things, and when I was released, I had Miracle on my chart.
Wow.
And I had less than a 5% chance of survival, what I went through, because they couldn't put a breathing tube in and stuff. So, yeah. Yep.
And they still don't know what caused it or what?
The lead theory is just my body reacted badly to the anesthesia.
Jeez.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Routine sinus surgery.
I'm alive from an epinephrine shot and literally God kicking me out of heaven.
Wow. That's wild.
Mm-hmm.
You said you felt it when it touched your heart.
Mm-hmm.
Can you describe the
Oh, it felt
sensation?
like so I wasn't a good patient at that time. So I had like a surgical blanket, and basically the person that was administering it pretty much had to put like a knee on my face because I'm still like coughing and things. And so when it went in, I didn't really feel that, but when it touched my heart, it felt like almost like when your heart like palpitates or like flutters.
Okay.
It kind of felt that, but stronger. And I remember being like, "Whoa!" And he was like, "Oh yeah, that's your heart. I made it, made it in." And so they ended up using this port as an IV eventually. And I had like, I don't know, I think 6 or 7 active IVs on me at one point.
Oh my gosh.
That's your central line.
Yeah,
That's what that was. Yeah.
And so I've watched a lot of like NDE videos, just hearing people's experiences, and your experience with what you call heaven sounds beautiful and peaceful and lovely. Other people have had similar experiences, but it's not like it's a set track, right?
Yeah.
Like some people have had negative that turn positive, or just whatever. Some people just have really bizarre sounding experiences. Why do you think that do you think it has to do with consciousness, or like the way because your father's a preacher, right?
Yeah,
right?
my daddy's a preacher.
Do you think it's like in some ways influenced by the way you grew up, or like what do you think?
I actually don't know about the influence. I was upset that I saw blackness. I'm like, why is everybody with all these NDEs see God and color or Jesus or in their family? Like, I was in absolute pitch black. And so I don't know if there was any type of influence at that point, because I just showed up. And it was almost 10 years to the day when I found out why I was in blackness. And to practice Reiki in the state of Virginia, at least I was told at the time. So to become a Reiki Master and practice it, 'cause you have to touch people once in a while. And I also do another healing modality that you touch people, like trigger points. So the state of Virginia considers it a religious practice, so you have to be ordained.
Okay.
So I was getting ordained by the Order of Melchizedek, actually really close to this studio.
Oh, right.
So it was pretty cool. A lot of good energy nearby here. And we're in a room, and the Reverend Dan, that is the leader of the Order of Melchizedek. So he's telling stories and sharing stuff, and he shares an NDE he had where he went to blackness. And I was like, I got I got questions. And it was literally, I think, about 2 weeks before my 10th anniversary. And I asked, why black? Like, I've never heard of another NDE happening where you're in black. And I'm trying not to cry. I don't have waterproof mascara on.
I was gonna say it's okay if you cry, but that would
We
can always pause.
Sad podcast.
That'd be a sad podcast, yeah. But we want the authentic you, buddy.
But it was because he said, "Well, Sarah, God, on like what was it, the third day, God created light. So you experienced the pure love before He created light. You experienced, and it was." It was a moment that I had to process. It took a few weeks to be able to process, like, oh my gosh, I did. I went to a place of love and peace, but I knew my family was around me. And turns out you don't have to see this to believe it. And so it took a long time to process. Like, God created light. You got to experience what it felt like before there was light.
Right. And you feel it, you see it, but it's like seeing through feeling.
Yeah.
Type of thing. Yeah, that's really good. It's also funny on the third day, whoever's around God is like, hey, can we get some light? Like, I can't see.
Yeah, like this feels great.
Yeah,
but,
yeah, this feels awesome.
But I got these eyeballs. And,
love what you're doing with the feeling.
Yeah.
Can we get some light?
Yeah.
I'm so sorry. I need to use the bathroom really quick.
Okay.
Can we take like a 5-minute?
I'm gonna cough, so that's great.
Oh. All right. Well, we're leaving that in. That's awesome. Cool. All right. Is that cool?
Yeah.
Are we can just keep. Okay. Cool. I'll cut around. All right. I'll be right back.
I'm gonna swing this away from me.
Yeah. Please do.
I mean, when I first came into this world, the running shoe world was right around when the trail market was doing exceptionally well. Now it's not doing that great.
It went.
And
It's like, okay, now
it was like gaining a lot of momentum before COVID. COVID happened, definitely like shot up. But then after,
so great seeing people out. And
Yeah.
whole families outside
and like enjoying
I
it,
love
right?
that.
But since then, it's kind of like fallen.
Oh,
and
interesting.
lost
I have kept
its
the
steam.
trail running shoe market in business because I buy at least a couple pairs a year. I've learned the hard way. Wearing the right shoes, tree climbing is whether you get up or you fall down.
Yeah. You're a cool person. That's rad. That's scary, but rad.
But my point about the trail market is that when I first came into this world, everybody was hiking the Appalachian Trail in trail shoes. Like all the thru hikers were not getting boots anymore. Like nobody was getting the mid-cut hiking boot. They were all using trail shoes.
Yeah, and I don't like hiking boots. From one, they're usually clunky. I mean, I know there are like lighter weight ones now, but they're just more clunky. And I do need ankle support, but I still prefer the trail running shoes when I'm out. Like I definitely am more confident in in steps and stuff. And I'm really afraid of bees and wasps, so I do some sprints once in a while on a trail while I'm running away.
So you do run from
things.
time to time, you know?
I do run sometimes because I know it's good for my heart and high cholesterol and high blood pressure run in my family. So, but when I do outside runs, usually I'm by myself because people can't tolerate me complaining the whole time. But I like the curved treadmill. So the curved treadmills are my jam because you have to use some brain power to do that.
Yeah.
And you like to not fall off and to do the same speed. So I end up kind of getting addicted.
Are those the ones where you have to power with?
Self-powered.
Okay. Yeah.
In our emails, I was like, I'm gonna get you running one day. Like, so just because this is our world, like,
May the force be with you.
Yeah, I'll try to on your own leisure, on your own time, on your own decision. I feel like trail running, especially, can be so spiritual.
I am very accident prone, so I don't know. If
Well, like non-technical trail, so like easy.
Yeah, like the flat part of Great Falls.
Yeah.
The gravel part.
I'll just because I always just it's had such a positive impact in my life. I'll send you stuff. Do it if you want to. Don't do it if you don't.
There was so one of my trips to the Middle East to Kuwait years ago. I'm usually the only girl like what the projects that I was working on. I was supporting a project for Mosul Dam. It was in Iraq, and was working very closely with Army Corps of Engineers. So the staging ground to missions to the structure was in Kuwait at Arif John, and that also was Combined Joint Task Force Operation Inherent Resolve, CJTF OIR, where that was staged from. So that was where like the Pesh and the Kurds would call in for airstrikes to defeat ISIS. And so a lot of things were happening in Arif John and Kuwait. And so one of my trips, I arrived on September 10th, and this is in 2015, I believe. So September 10th, and they're like, oh, the next day is a Patriots run. Sarah, you're totally gonna join us for this run, right? And I'm like, I don't think so, guys. Like, I don't know. And they're like, well, it'll help jet lag, and you know, and I'm like, I hate running, and they're like, well, it's just a 5K. You can walk all you want. So I get off the aircraft, and it's like 7 p.m. or something. It's dark out already, I think, and my glasses fog up immediately when I get off the aircraft on the tarmac, and I am cussing. I'm like, what is this armpit of hell? What the F did you guys didn't warn me about this and it was like 120 degrees in this humidity.
You're like spiritual,
You wouldn't think it
like
to be.
loving side
Yeah,
was like, that's out the window right now.
So the guys pick me up from the airport. We get checked in, and I get on base and get my bunk. So I think it was like 1 a.m. or something by the time I get to bed. Like, okay, what time is this run? Like, I could be peer pressured. I'll jump on a bandwagon. And, you know, where else am I going to be on a run on 9/11 in the Middle East?
Right.
So, and they're like, you get a free T-shirt. Well,
That always gets everybody.
Well, all right. So they're like, well, we have to. The run starts at 4:45.
Okay, in 3 hours. Great.
You know, this will help me with jet lag. I could take a nap maybe during the day later and see everybody. So at this point, I'd already been on base many times this year. So, and this hair stands out, right? And so I decide to do this run. It's so hot and humid already. And like the temperature hadn't decreased overnight, and it's still humid. And I'm like, what did I choose in my life? So you walk out of, they called it the I Bay, where I, like the transient people like I was staying. So you walk out and you go towards like the track, and I'm already drenched in sweat. I'm like, what in the world? But I'm seeing all these people that I know now, and I'm like, oh, these missions are great. And everybody's happy to see me. So it kind of boosts my confidence. That was the longest 5K of my life. I think at one point I just sat and was like, what choice was this? Like, I'm in the Middle East and in this humid, and so luckily other people would see me and be like, Sarah, is that you? Are you back? And I'm like, oh yeah, like, oh, here, I'll help you up, and walking and like kind of half jogging. Yeah, that was awful. I think it took a solid 45 minutes to get...
During it, you're like, you know what? Maybe weapons of mass destruction are a good idea.
Yeah.
I know.
So, yeah, I hate running, and that was like the worst of the worst.
All right.
And then I ended up, so I wanted to tell this story. I ended up running a little bit in Egypt. So
That's right on.
we had this private access at the Sphinx. So the Sphinx, I had no idea we would be like, the Sphinx is here. Mm-hmm. I can touch it. I could get in trouble for touching this. And like all the other people, so they're up on the ground level, and so of course they're behind a thing. So at one point, I even found I was subconsciously or unconsciously or whatever, touching it, like, oh, I'm petting the cat. I'm petting this. I'm a cat lady. I'm a crazy cat lady. I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm petting the bag of the kitty cat, and so one of the guys was like, Sarah, psst. And he looks up to like all these people up there, fully knowing you're not supposed to be touching this big, beautiful, ancient cat. And I'm like, oh, right.
Scram!
Yeah. So at another point, I kind of separate from the group a little bit to take some photos of everybody. And I am quite a ways away, and I'm taking this really cool photo. We're at the back end of the Sphinx. And I'm just like, this is my life right now. I'm like randomly tearing up. Like, I never thought I'd be here, and didn't know this was a dream that would come true that I didn't think I would ever have. So I'm taking this photo, I'm having like a moment to myself, and all of a sudden I hear one of the workers go, yeah, there's this window that's covered back here into a tunnel and the base of the Sphinx. We'll show you guys now. And I was like, what? And
Like the Sphinx butt or something?
Yeah, like at the very end of the Sphinx is a tunnel access that goes down below it. And so they have like a wooden cover, and they started uncovering it, and I was so far away, I just took off. I started sprinting, and one of the guys on the group saw it, was like, I've never seen somebody turn into a gazelle like that as quickly. And so by the time I got to the group, they already started covering it back, and I'm like, no, like I started like so sad. I'm like screaming. I'm like, no, can I just like take a peek? And so they uncovered it a little bit again, and they're like, no photos, which is fine. And it was like this old rusty ladder that just went down, and they said it went under. And then at one point they discovered when somebody was coming out, you kind of looked up at an angle, and there was this tunnel that goes up and into the Sphinx. And I was like, I volunteer. I volunteer. I got my headlamp on. I'm ready for an adventure, and they wouldn't let me in for safety
I can fit
reasons.
in those crevasses.
Yeah, that's what I was like. I don't mind getting dirty and cut up, and
I can get Sphinx
I'm a lean person. I could be all nimbly bimbly. But I was not allowed in, so that was a sad ending. But I did end up doing a little bit of a running event.
That's still super cool though, because when you think about it, you've run in Kuwait, you've run in Egypt, you've run here in the States.
Yeah.
So you've run on, Asia, Africa, North America.
Oh.
You only got a couple more continents left to go on your list.
I love the way you think.
I like
know?
that. That actually is fun.
Yeah, run on all the continents.
Yeah.
Antarctica.
Antarctica.
Oh,
That's where we're
Antarctica.
going next.
That would be super fun.
They do a marathon, a 10K marathon on Antarctica.
Yeah.
You have to backtrack, not a 10.
I would
Let's cut
sign up
in
for that
half.
bad boy.
Yeah.
Yo, good old 5K.
5K is my limit usually.
Yeah, I bet they do a fun run, out there.
I also feel like we gotta
the
just get you
penguins.
like on board with running first before. Let's send you to Antarctica.
Yeah, right.
People are like, oh, look at your frame, your long legs. I bet you could go for miles. Like, I will complain for all those miles.
And I'm not here to be a missionary of running or anything, but I do think, and you'll probably attest to this, sometimes when people are newer to running, like my wife, for example, she got into it in the past couple of years, and when she started doing, she's like, oh, I hate it because it just hurts so much. You're just going nonstop. I go, no. You gotta like however fast you think you're gonna go, make yourself go a lot slower.
Yeah.
And then just like it should be very conversational, like we're talking now while moving, and it just kind of slowly.
Yeah.
You get that slow dopamine drip.
What's funny is, the start of this isn't funny. I tore my ACL in my left knee last summer. Sorry, I have loud random hiccups.
That's okay.
So
The blue bean coming through.
Yeah. One of my friends jokes that it's me leaving and coming back to my body temporarily, and they say welcome back after. Anyways, so during PT post surgery, first thing I told my physical therapist, I don't want to run. Don't put me on that. You guys will not want me on a treadmill in this physical therapy office because I will audibly complain. I am not a shy person. And at this point, because I am a frequent visitor to this physical therapy office, I've had surgery on both wrists and 3 shoulder surgeries. And so this was my first lower appendage surgery. So they know me well.
Right.
And they were like, well, we won't make you run, which it actually ended up being great because I wasn't rushed into running for my physical therapy, but I wanted to hike. When I was going to Wyoming in June. Surgery was in September last year. And so I was like, I just need to hike a mountain. I have this trip planned to Wyoming. I'm hiking the Tetons and Yellowstone.
Oh, yeah, those are the best.
And so the goal was to get me hiking and not running. So I actually could hike a mountain, a 10,000-foot mountain in June this year, but I still couldn't sprint.
Oh, wow. That's
so
fun.
it was, but now I'm
just strong.
Yeah. So now I'm definitely able to run more, but having my physical therapist give me this different healing routine so I could have the strength and the mobility, but not necessarily because running's obviously different muscles. Sprinting versus jogging are also very different muscles.
Oh,
so, but I can confidently say now I have run around. I play softball, so I've run around the bases.
Nice.
There you go.
Still can't like do a few things, but I think, yeah.
You get there.
Running.
It's only a matter of time. The Tetons are super cool, especially climbing the Tetons, because then you can you look over the plane there and you can watch the airplanes landing in Jackson Hole below you, and it's just a weird experience.
It's so magical.
You're like, I'm
and
above the
difference
airplanes right
between
now.
Yellowstone and Tetons, and they're right beside each other. They share a line, and it's such totally different mountains and.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've been to both. I'm a bigger fan of the Tetons than I am of Yellowstone. I don't know. Geothermal stuff just doesn't pique my geologic
I think
interest.
Both have my heart though. Because we stayed in the Tetons and hiked Mount Washburn, it's a 10,000 foot mountain, and that was my goal, was to be able to hike at least a 10,000 foot mountain during that trip. And yeah, it was definitely a little bit weathered, but both were just magical.
Yeah, the wildlife is so much better in Yellowstone.
Yeah.
We went to this one place. I was there for like field work in school for geology, and we went to this like one spot where it was like a hidden lake almost, but there was just a family of otters that lived in that lake, and so like I got a bunch of like National Geographic quality videos of like little baby otters playing with the mama papa otters and catching fish, and it's quite the experience. I quite loved it.
Magical.
That's awesome.
Love to go back.
That's so sweet, dude.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
But I mean, Yellowstone, it's geothermal, so it smells like farts.
And there was, because I'm a big tree hugger and tree climber, so I found it was not the petrified area in Yellowstone that like most people go to. There's like another part where there's still a few trees that are vertical.
Oh,
and
wow.
it's one of the few places in the entire world where petrified trees are vertical. So I'm like, I'm going to go hug a 50 million year old tree. Are you kidding me? This sounds amazing. And there was a sequoia that wasn't vertical, but ancient sequoia that was laid down. And she took my breath away. Like we came around this corner, and it's not an NPS, National Park Service trail. So you just use all trails, all trails.
It's been very, very accurate for me.
I don't think anybody doesn't
in the past
have your
couple of
reaction.
years.
Yeah. And
This podcast is brought to you by All Trails. No.
so we definitely didn't. We went where All Trails sent us, but it was not the right spot, and we bypassed. It was only supposed to be a mile and a half, I think, up hike, but it was 1,700 feet of elevation gain, so it was a slow up, and it was All Trails. So ended up finding where we needed to go on the way down.
It's like a 45% grade.
It was insane. It was a lot of stops.
It's like you're going a mile this way plus a mile almost.
Yeah, and we actually, there were parts where it was easier to just scoot down on your bottom versus staying up, because it was so like the rock and shale and limestone and stuff was so slippery that you just scooted down, and it was a slide.
Yeah.
The gravity took a hold of you, but ended up finding the tree that was still vertical, and I definitely I had a moment, and it was just so cool seeing the crystalline structures, knowing how long ago that the volcanoes and everything turned this tree, and thankful for good shoes that day.
Oh, yeah.
Thankful for the grippy shoes. But anyways, Yellowstone was amazing. By the time we got back to our car, we had to do a little jaunt of a jog because buffalo settled down.
Oh, yeah.
And so we're like, okay, because I grew up on a farm, so I know cattle behavior. And my friend I was with, she also was, she knows animal behavior as well. So we were like, oh my gosh, like and it was our last hike for the whole trip too. So we were getting in the car to drive 6 hours after this adventure, and this herd of buffalo sitting there. And so we were like, well, we'll just be really quiet. And it was not, they weren't far away. They were here to the wall away, which I don't know how far, that's not far, right?
No.
So like, well, and it's really windy. So we're like, they won't hear us because it's windy. And nope. One of them stands up and looks at us and puts his tail up a little bit, and we're like, nope. So we take off running and do this big loop. And of course, there's like a Greyhound tourist bus there. People are out taking pictures. And so we do this huge running loop back to the car. We get there, we're out of breath, and we're like, oh my gosh, we got our hiking poles, and we're just like throwing stuff in the car. These people come over, they're like, oh my gosh, are you all okay? We're like, oh, holy cow. The buffalo ended up pooping.
Nice.
So his tail going up.
Better safe than sorry.
Yeah,
you
his tail going up was for him to go to the bathroom, but we weren't sticking around to watch that. And so ended up safe, but that was an interesting end.
From the buffalo's perspective, he's like, "What's their problem? I'm just gonna go.
I gotta go to the bathroom."
That's fun.
Anyways.
Anyways,
I like Yellowstone.
yeah.
My wife and I were in South Dakota a couple years ago, and we were driving around the what is it, the Black Hills, Black Forest, something like that. And yeah, I mean, like the buffalo don't care at all. Like that you're trying to drive down the road. Like they'll just get in the middle of the road and just herd in front of you. And like, oh, you can go at my speed.
Yeah,
it's whatever.
That's what one
and we're
did
like,
one morning.
Guys, we got somewhere to be. Like they don't care. They're hilarious creatures.
Just with how much you love nature. I also grew up in a farm town.
Oh, nice.
Do you long for that? Do you miss it? Or do you like, you're happy here you have enough nature for you?
I know I'm going to end up in less concrete one day.
Yeah.
I don't think I will end up back in Missouri just because of me being out here and adjusting to city life. I love going back to my farm, and I love the land. I'm fourth generation, so a lot of our family blood is in the soil, literally. So my heart is always with the land and with the animals, and I love going home and how, like, I've helped with C-sections with cows, and I've given my dad stitches, and I mean, like, the stories and the upbringing that I have by growing up on a farm it feels like another life when I am out here, and I like go to a gala. I do a lot of fundraising for Leukemia Lymphoma Society, so I'll go to a gala for that. And I feel like I'm in two different worlds. Like, one time I actually left the farm. I was bottle feeding a calf in the morning. My mom helped me do my hair, did my makeup at the airport, landed, changed into a gown, and went to D.C. for a LLS gala, a ball that I was volunteering at. And I forgot to bring a different coat in my car. So, like, my gown was waiting for me in the car because I was literally changing and driving into D.C., and I still had, like, cow slobber on my coat that I had to wear to the gala. And it feels like two different worlds. But I definitely need less concrete where I end up one day. And I would love to continue to, work with the land. I joke I don't know how to take care of one plant, but I could take care of 100 acres.
Yeah.
So
I love it.
maybe I'll learn how to take care of one plant.
That's that's so nice. I also, like, we're same page as you. Like, so I didn't grow up on a farm, but like farmland everywhere. Mm-hmm. My best friend back home, he was actually my high school coach, like, 11 years ago now, and he's a dairy farmer. And so this past fall, you'll attest this, for my job, we were talking about, I put on events all over Maryland, DC, and Virginia. We did pumpkin relays. So I'm just driving around DC, like, people in DC like, why is this car filled with pumpkins? This guy's a lunatic.
Have you ever heard of a beer mile before?
Yeah.
Think
I
of
have
it
some of my friends are runners.
Yeah, think of the same concept,
or
but
like the relay
with a
races.
pumpkin.
With a pumpkin, you can,
Okay.
So it's, farm life is fun.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I worked on it for 2 weeks, and then we had to separate the baby cow from the mama cow, right?
Weeding is not fun.
It's not fun.
Oh my gosh.
Because I didn't grow up in that environment. I grew up adjacent to it, but I was working the farm and, shoveling the shit and doing all that stuff. But when they separated it and they were both freaking out, I was like, well, I don't think I'm
pleasant.
Yeah, I'm like, ugh.
The sounds are not great.
I'm freaking out. I'm like, oh.
I used to joke that because where I grew up, people drank a lot. So I drank a lot in high school. And we didn't have anything else to do. We'd drive around drinking. And I'm not sure if that happens today, people, but I know then. So I used to joke that Dad would purposely move the cows, the mamas, in the field in front of, we have a 10-acre field in front of the house. He would move them there when I would be hungover. It's like separating the moms from the babies. Like, that was like my punishment, was having to listen to the moms bellow and bleat and yeah. Like, Dad, my head hurts so badly. And he's like, well,
That's
Parents have a sixth sense.
That's
for
such
that
a
kind
good
of thing.
father move as well. Just like, it's great. All right,
We've covered a lot. What else?
We have. Let's.
Oh, I've got a couple of questions.
Oh,
but-
dude, I was gonna jump back into the spiritual stuff, but if you you want to go?
Yeah, totally. Mine is, I don't even know if you're going to be able to answer this directly. Who knows? So, geez, how do I preface this question? All right, so like when we go back and we look at like ancient sites, like say like Göbekli Tepe, for instance, and they have like, you know, those massive pillars where they've like, you know, carved these like very intricate scenes on these like pillars. And like you have, you know, that was created, you know, many of thousands of years ago. I forget the exact figure off the top of my head, but like, and then you have people nowadays interpreting those like symbols and the things on the pillars, you know, what have you. How is it that like, you know, like when we interpret it nowadays, you see the sun in the sky, and you see this like the bird that it has like, you know, its hand, you know, it's extending out to the sun, and like there's a lion like off to over here. How is it that like, you know, people nowadays are like, oh, that matches up with the constellations in the sky. Like that is precisely where Leo was when this would have been made. And that's, you know, where the bird constellation would have been, you know, like, how is it that language changes over time, but the constellations are the same?
Yeah.
Can we go back to cows?
Yeah. It's like, how is it that like, yeah, Leo the lion, yeah, that's those dots in the sky, that's definitely a lion. Ancient Egyptians knew that. We knew that.
Yeah.
Like how, like what?
So
like
I never, my trip also helped enlighten me on constellations themselves. There's constellation zodiac. There's zodiac hieroglyphs from Egypt from thousands and thousands of years ago. And my science brain is like, who gave them those names?
Yeah.
How did Pisces become a fish and Pisces?
And we're still calling it the same thing nowadays.
And I'm a Gemini and the twins, but like I'm also a true Gemini where I'm talkative and I'm outgoing. I know no stranger, and but then there's also the side of me that's a little quiet and reserved. Like how is this a thing?
Right.
Where did this originate from? Where did this start from? I don't know.
Yeah.
It blew my mind how the pyramids, so Egyptians, like the first dynasty, the pyramids existed before them. The pyramids of Giza line up from 10,000 years ago, 10,000 BC, I should say, like more. So it was more than 10,000 BC. They line up with Orion's belt, and Khufu was there earlier than that. It wasn't 10,000 years ago. They were there like 7,000 or 8,000 years ago. So who built them? Where did Orion's belt come from?
Yeah, how do they know to
line this up
yeah.
perfectly with true north? So they lined up a lot of their pyramids with true north, not magnetic north, so not our compass north, magnetic north. It's with true north, which is like I think a 5 to 7 degree difference or something.
Yeah.
I don't know.
So wild.
Yeah.
Like
And
languages and religions and customs and traditions change over years, but that has been the one thing that has remained consistent.
And then like what we talked about a lot too was all the different gods that were worshipped, and then Akhenaten comes along and tries to have one god, one deity that you worshipped, and that didn't go so well.
Yeah, it didn't go over well.
It didn't go over well at all, and Tutankhamun ended up coming in and changing it back, and it was like where
they give King Tut so much crap, but that's the one thing that he did do.
Yeah,
He was like, enough of this nonsense.
passed away too early for his time. Got to see his mask, his golden. Oh my gosh, I got goosebumps.
Ooh.
His mask in person.
Were you able to take a picture? Well, I'm sure the picture's out there, right?
We got him.
I'm sure you touched it and then ran away
I
afterwards.
did not. I was not brave enough to get my phone out. They were quite aggressive with the phones. So I had my hands like literally here at my chest the whole time. Like I don't have my phone.
I'm just praying. I'm just praying.
My phone is not in my hands.
Yeah.
No touchy. But somebody in the group did get a photo of the mask. But just seeing it in person and the intricacies of the gemstones, like the lapis lazuli on it and the coral. And coral's like a softer stone, but it's so polished and thousands of years old.
Right.
How did we do this? And anyways, that was a sidebar. But I don't know where our knowledge left and like our buckets of religion that we have now, how that has really digressed from, I guess, just giving a structure. Like humans do need structure. We need to be told what to do, where to drive, what to eat. And so I don't know if that goes along those lines of having to be told what to do and just falling in line, and that becomes your culture.
It's like, hey, you don't need to know this.
Yeah.
It's not going to help our society currently. So.
But like there were hieroglyphs. So our Egyptologist that was with us, he was so phenomenal, and our guides, like everybody that was there teaching us. So we actually started learning hieroglyphs at one point, and like because we would all ask questions. Like I'm asking a million questions all the time. And they were saying that there are still hieroglyphs. They don't know what they mean. There's still stories on walls that they don't know how to interpret because it's lost.
Right.
How?
Whoever started that fire at Alexandria Library.
It was all there.
It was the answers were there. You know?
Do you have any more?
Oh, the only other question I had before we did this interview, I was doing my research and I Googled you, and there's a picture of you standing next to the Conn Scythe Trophy. You a hockey fan?
I am.
Yeah. Who's your team?
I grew up being a Blues fan from St. Louis area, but then TJ Oshie got transferred. He was recruited out of college to be on the Blues, and so I joke I'm an Oshie fan. So that got me into being a Caps fan.
That was the jersey you were wearing next to that trophy. Was the Oshie?
Yeah. So
jersey.
I actually have a split jersey that I made, and half of it is Blues and half of it is Caps. And so his number is 77 here, and he was 74 for the Blues. So it's reads 77. So he's seen it. He's signed it.
Nice.
That's awesome.
He was impressed with it. I do have gotten boos whenever I wear it because people like pick a team, and I'm like, I'm Team Oshie.
Yeah.
But I'm a Caps fan. I
Go Caps.
feel very spoiled because Blues won the Stanley Cup and then Caps did. So back-to-back years, and very spoiled when that happened. But yeah, when the Caps won the Stanley Cup, I was in the arena because I just knew that day that they were going to win. It was but it was the off game. They weren't playing here, right? And they opened up the arena and jumbotron down, and so I was in the arena, and I had just got done playing softball. It was slow pitch softball on Fort Belvoir, and so I was too excited, and it was such a hot day that I couldn't get my softball pants off, like the thick polyester pants. So I was like, screw it, I'm going and so I actually had like dirty, sweaty, disgusting softball pants on. I did change my shirt. But yeah, it was, oh my gosh, I lost my voice for like 3 days screaming that night. And
my buddy and I were outside the center, just dodging all the eggs that were being thrown.
Yeah, all the trash, like seeing the trash that night was really sad on the
Yeah.
streets, but that was, oh my gosh. And I went to the parade and just experiencing the Stanley Cup win in person. And then I got to kiss the cup at one point. So
I thought you were going to say you got to kiss him for a second.
Oh, no. He's happily married.
Gotcha, yeah.
I don't want to interfere
Alex
with that.
Ovechkin had that cup in like and out in like Ballston and other parts of Arlington. He was just pushing people to drink out of it. I think
that's fun.
at like some points,
Yeah, but I did eventually. I saw the cup in person and did.
That's so
I have a
cool.
photo of one of my friends and I kissing it, and I also teared up after that. Like growing up being a hockey and baseball fan, that's my family. So I'm a St. Louis Cardinals fan as well. But another dream I didn't think would happen was being able to touch the Stanley Cup one day. And
Right.
That's cool.
that was so cool. I kind of teared up in the hallway afterward. My friend was like, "Are you okay?" And I'm like, "Leave me alone for a second. I need to
Do you
process
know
this
what just
moment."
happened?
Yeah, I can't talk.
You're like, I'm overly okay.
Yeah.
That's fun.
Yeah, hopefully this year we get Ovechkin to do the break the all-time goal scoring
Oh my
record.
gosh, that would be
He's like
amazing.
he's like 28 away at this point. So
So cool.
Yep.
It was actually at the game I forget if it was his 700th goal. I forget which big number it was.
You're
but
talking
we had
about
the heads
this
on the stick.
past season?
No, it was a couple seasons ago.
Oh, okay.
But it was they put like his head on a stick, and it was a fun thing to put around my house because it would like scare me. But it was like a giant head of his on a stick for like one of his momentous mile markers.
Nice.
The blue being's like,
Yeah.
we both here to protect her? What's going on?
Who dis?
Yeah, who dis? Yo, Sarah, you got another being in your life?
We also pray to the sacrilegious Ovechkin here in the household.
How you feeling? Are you doing all right?
I'm good.
On time? Okay, cool.
Yeah.
I just want to hit you with a couple more things if that's cool.
Yep.
Because I interrupted us to use the bathroom, but I was digging the spiritual talk.
Nice.
This is like a roundabout way. Have you ever read the book or novella Chain of the Sea?
No, I don't know that one.
Oh, okay, yeah. I just wondered. So our guy Lou, hi Lou. He mentioned it a couple times, and as people do, I think they probably hang on his words too much. I just wanted to get your take on it, but if you haven't read it, no worries.
No, I haven't.
Yeah, it's interesting. It just talks about like hypothetically maybe what could be going on outside in this topic, in this phenomenon.
Oh, interesting.
Just of like the spiritual side of things and the different beings, and yeah, I don't know.
Okay.
I read
Sounds
it.
interesting.
Yeah, it was.
I'll have to. Yeah, we'll discuss later. So I make sure I get it in my Amazon card.
Yeah, totally. When you were talking with Ross, you were talking about different spiritual beings, and you said like earthbound spirits, and then of course some malevolent spirits, and I guess what are earthbound spirits?
Earthbound. So I use that term for. I think I'm going to hiccup.
That's okay.
There we go. It feels like a burp whenever sometimes they're a surprise to me, but other times it feels like it's a burp. So earthbound spirits are energy, it's ghosts.
Okay.
So like when people go ghost hunting and they have an interaction. So earthbound is tied to the earth plane, and their energy is a little bit lower. So like when I do a reading for a client, I'm usually connecting to their loved ones on the other side in heaven or whatever you believe in, where they might go. So they're actually at a higher vibration than an earthbound spirits because they've transitioned over. So earthbound spirits can be like the hauntings. It could also be residual energy. So residual energy is like an imprint. So so sorry.
That's okay. It's that pyramid lung.
Pyramid lung.
Pyramid lung.
Pyramid lung.
Pyramid lung.
So residual energy is also like an imprint in somewhere. So like we're around a lot of Civil War battles right here. A lot of that energy stays because it's heavy. It's an impact, or where a car crash might have been, not necessarily somebody passing away, but it was an impact in the ether. It's an impact in energy. So everything is energy, right? Energy cannot be created or destroyed. It's always around us. So that's what thermodynamics right there, right? So think of everything as energy. So if there is a car crash that happens, that energy can still be there. So I've actually been in a bad car crash on 395 at King Street exit. Every once in a while, I don't think of it, right? It happened a long time ago. Every once in a while, I'll pass over this place and I'll be like, what was that? And I'll actually feel my imprint in there because it was a very bad crash, and I thankfully came out without a bruise. But yeah, car flipped, and like it was a drunk driver that hit me. So there's these imprints of the energy, and residual energy can be that. So Civil War battle, there's a lot of hardships happened during that time and over winter and stuff. So when I'm hiking in some of these places, I can actually like tap in and see this residual energy, these soldiers still marching, and but it's a movie reel. So it'll be like a loop. They don't know we're here. So earthbound spirits are more intelligent. They know that we're here. They interact. So that's the ghost hunts when you're like, hey, Santa Claus, can you talk? I'm sorry, I don't know why I said Santa. But when you address something and it responds intelligently, so that's an earthbound spirit that may or may not have chose to cross over. So I've encountered some very negative, malevolent earthbound spirits that were angry in life. And so there was a time I was doing a ghost hunt, these women, they're my friends, owned a business in Tombstone, Arizona. And there was a really negative entity there that like hated women. And he didn't think women should own a business. He didn't, and so he was tampering with some stuff. And so I forced him to cross over because I was like, you ain't sticking around. This ain't cool. But they carry on emotions from when they were alive into that, and they don't want to cross over. They like to stay angry. They like to, and sometimes spirits are scared to cross over because they're like, well, I don't know what's on the other side. And that's when a medium comes in to help. But so earthbound spirits can be definitely various things, but they are more of like when you think of a ghost hunt or a haunting, they're the ones that are still here.
Okay, cool. That is interesting because you answered it, but one of my follow-ups was going to be like, are they choosing to stay, or are they stuck and they don't realize it, or what?
All the above, yeah. The very first spirit I ever crossed over, a friend she was like, I know there's a spirit in my house. I don't understand what's going on. It doesn't feel scary, but I know something's here, like the lights will turn on or a drawer will open or something. And sometimes they know, like my friend, sometimes spirit knows they might have somebody, like a medium, to help them figure out what's going on. So the spirit was so confused. She passed away very tragically in a car accident and didn't. So usually when things like that happen very quickly and suddenly, the pathway up might not be seen very easily because you're confused. You're like, what just happened? I'm dead. I don't know what's going on. My family can't hear me. And so she was really confused and lost. And so I helped her get home.
Oh, that's nice.
So, like, do you have to have the juice, to be able to see this? Like, I don't know. I think there's like this like colloquial, like sort of thing where how pets are very sensitive to. They have like a sixth sense almost. Totally. And like, I know my wife has said, like, whenever we happen to go searching for a house, she always wants to bring our dog with us because she's like, if he doesn't want to go through the front door, then like we're not, like, awesome. You know what I mean?
Great.
Like,
yeah, they do though.
Like what? Yeah. Do you have you have to have the juice?
100% of humans have the juice. 100% of us are born with the ability to talk with the other side, to communicate, to raise your consciousness to a higher vibration, to a higher frequency. It's just a matter of us tapping into it, learning how to harness it, and believing in it. So when we're little, 100% of us, right? All of us have this ability. We're just told it's not real. It's an imaginary friend. You're not seeing that over there.
Like
Stop waving at the air.
Like UAPs.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So we're conditioned at a young age to believe we're not seeing what we are. And so that skill's kind of lost. And for me, I was lucky enough to be in a family that embraced my weirdness and harnessed it and just like, oh, she's reading all those.
Let your freak flag fly.
Yeah. And so I never had that really washed out of me because my family was just like, yep, she's Sarah. She's just weird.
Just very accepting.
And so I had my first ghost experience I was in middle school. I was like 12, 13 years old, and everybody was like, "Oh, yeah, I believe." Like it was just a thing. Like a door handle would open before I would leave a house, and oh, thanks, Vic, I appreciate it. And like it was always a normal thing for me and my family and friends. We all went on this journey together, and so by the time I started figuring out that I have like abilities, one of my brothers was like, this makes sense. Tell me more. Tell me what you saw. This is so cool. And then I talked to my other brother about it, and he has the same reaction, was like, oh my gosh, your niece. So my niece, my youngest niece, she's 5 now, but when she was, before she was 1, she's waving at people in her crib. And I'm like, oh, that's Grandpa. Grandpa's visiting her, and it's like, well, he's visiting her a lot. She's not sleeping. I'm like, tell Grandpa to knock it off. Like, we know she's cute, but tell Grandpa to let her sleep at
she
night.
She needs her rest.
And so she'll wave at people in a funeral and in a graveyard. They're, at a gravesite at a funeral, and she'll like turn around and wave to people. And she's been doing that since she was, I'm going to say like 2 or 3. but it's really neat, my family being able to share this stuff with me and to help her and to help other family members, because not all people on my path have family that they could share this stuff with and are embraced with it. It's been a really fun, I guess, journey of feeling grateful all the time and feeling honored that I'm in this seat and I have this science brain, but I also have this like spiritual brain, and I'm able to marry the two together and to explain, thermodynamics, everything is energy. And that was a tangent.
No, you're great. No, it's good. We're also like 2 hours in, so we'll wrap it up here because I know you got other stuff to do. But a couple just quick questions. Just want to like get your vibe on it. We can go in as much or as little depth as you want. Do you have any opinions or thoughts on remote viewing?
So remote viewing, I just learned the difference between remote viewing and astral travel. So like during this UAP journey, people talk about remote viewing a lot, and I always thought astral travel was the same thing.
Okay.
And they're not. I was educated a few months ago on the difference between the two. So I have never remote viewed. I've never also tried it. I could astral travel very easily.
What's that?
Astral travel is, we actually do it in our dreams. Every single night we sleep, we astral travel. So our soul leaves and we still are connected with like a little bit of a tether. I call it a cord. I think some mediums describe it as a silver cable that we're still connected to, but we travel. And so when I astral travel, I could, so I've helped one of my brothers as a cop, and I've been here, he's in Missouri, I've been here in Virginia, and able to connect to, he was worried there was some of his friends going in for a kidnapping case. So a man kidnapped a person and had a lot of guns and ammunition in the house. And so people were going in trying to get the person out, and SWAT team was going in. And so my brother was worried about everybody. So I astral traveled to the house to help tell the sniper where to set up to get the guy. And at the time, I was still pretty early on in my spiritual classes. So it was weird for me to talk about this. My brother's like, I don't care what you're saying. I will believe you. I will pass this on. Just tell me what you're getting. And so then I fully allowed myself to be at this house. And so I saw the dude. I explained what he looked like. I told him what he was wearing. I knew when an officer was shot. I actually felt where the bullet went in and that the officer would be okay. And so as I explaining all this, I went in the shower and I felt it was like lower gut area where the bullet hit, and I felt it. And so because I was like that connected. But I knew the officer would be okay. And by the time I got out of the shower, I was going to text my brother to let him know an officer is getting ready to be shot. And my brother had texted me while I had the phone in my hand. He said, "Officer down."
Oh, wow.
And so I was like, he's going to be okay. It's like this location, it's this, and like the bullet's going to miss, blah, blah, blah. And everything I said ended up being true. So I could see the house, and I'm going to get into the difference between remote viewing. So I could see the house. I could tell there was going to be, he's going to run out of ammo. And he's going to climb out either of a side window of the house or a door. I couldn't tell the difference, but I knew I saw him climbing out of something or exiting the house. It was the right side of the house. There were some bushes nearby, but he was going to run out of ammo, and that's where he's going to exit. There's going to be a headshot, and that's where the sniper needs to set up for the kill. And I wake up in the morning, and all of that is exact.
Wow.
Like my brother was texting me all this. And so that being said, like I could see he was climbing out of a window or a door. Like I couldn't tell what he was climbing out, but I could see bushes. I could see things. I definitely saw a headshot. And so if I remote viewed, remote viewing, I take my heart out. That's how I process this. So when I do my spiritual work, I operate from my heart.
Okay.
From my heart space. And not all do, but I definitely do. So when I am helping my brother, I'm also helping his friends that are there. And so that's with my heart, right? So I'm helping these police officers that already have a hard enough day, and I'm doing it out of the kindness of my heart. So astral travel, you don't do that. You just go, all
Or
right,
remote viewing.
we need to kill this dude.
Yeah.
And so remote viewing would take your heart out of the equation. And I technically would have been able to see the location better.
Oh, okay, I got you.
So it would have been more, instead of being in, watching a VHS tape where things are a little bit blurry watching those things, it would have been more an HD type situation. So I would have seen an actual, if it was a window or a door that he was coming out of, because it would take the heart and the emotional aspect out. So remote viewing, Project Blue Book and using CIA using remote viewers, you're trained. I consider it more of a military type way instead of the way I've been trained, which is opening my heart up to spirit and talking with spirit and seeing things through their lens and that perspective. They show me what I need to know.
Got you.
But remote viewing, you see, like we're sitting here, I would see the checkerboard behind us. I would see different things instead of, oh, there's some different colors on a wall, and then maybe those colors would come forward. But that's how I interpreted the difference between remote viewing is I would have to do it without my heart. And I don't know if I could do that.
Gotcha.
Because I'm so well versed in knowing how I function and how my brain and my heart are. And anybody could do it. So you just learn the step process and start to remote view. And I know of people have gone to other planets and done other things with remote viewing, which I've also done with astral travel. So you could do that in meditations.
You've gone to other planets? Mm-hmm. Oh, that's cool. Where'd you go?
I don't know. It was beautiful.
All right, right on.
There was
Rick and Morty style?
Yeah, it was gorgeous.
Nice.
All right, that's so cool. Well,
Yeah.
well, thank you. I wasn't aware of astral travel, so that's really cool.
Mm-hmm.
Unrelated, in a general concept, do you think it's better to know or not to know?
Of what?
In general, I guess. Just
so
in life.
I have actually said, because I've been read into some programs and special access programs at work, ignorance is bliss.
Okay.
So I say ignorance is bliss, but also, why shouldn't we know? But the end of knowing is realizing we don't know anything.
Right.
So I don't know how to answer that.
No worries. No worries. It was a very open-ended.
I feel like it's person to person.
Yeah.
A
Yeah.
very
For sure.
inquisitive person wants to know, whereas
But-
somebody who wants to be an
And
ostrich.
I always know I'm never going to be the smartest when I walk into a room. So I like to learn and to absorb and
That's damn sure true to me.
Yeah.
I walk into a room, I'm like, yep, I'm not the smartest here. No matter what room I'm in. I walk into a room full of kindergartners, and I don't know why I'm there, but I'm like, I'm losing.
kids.
Yeah. Right on. Talking about the phenomenon itself, I've heard people float, even hypothetically, people that are like maybe in the know, and I do only because I don't know who's truthful and who isn't, right? There's no way for me to know that. It's just a trust gut thing.
Yeah.
I trust you.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
I appreciate it.
No problem. Some people have said, stay away from that. The whole topic itself is demonic. But even saying that kind of frames it in an ontological way. Just knowing what you know without divulging specifics, like, what do you think? Because you have your own belief systems, right?
I don't understand why some people are so negative and untrustworthy. I mean, the same thing goes for the spiritual community. The metaphysical streets are not kind always. So I knew coming into the UFO topic and coming forward that unkindness is paralleled. I don't understand we're all sharing the same rock flying through space. Why can't we get along where we all want the same thing, really? People in this UAP topic, we want disclosure. The debunkers, they still want disclosure, right? They want the truth. And I don't get why there's such a divide and untrustworthiness of people. Before I was interviewed to be on James Fox's movie, The Program, which will come out December 16th.
Love it. Awesome.
he told me that while I was in Egypt, and I was like, yay,
Awesome.
finally.
Where do we know where?
iTunes, Amazon, Hulu, Google Play, Apple Play, and then I don't remember what else after that. I think that, yeah.
Okay. That's a
That
good birth.
That covers the gamut.
Yeah.
You know?
So before I decided to be interviewed for the film, the first thing somebody told me was, don't trust anyone. I'm like, that's sad.
Can you say who told you that?
No, I
Okay.
won't. Yeah, I won't disclose
understood.
that. But it was good advice because of people having different agendas. I'm like, why do we have different agendas? We all want the same thing. We want disclosure.
So it's egos, man.
And we're all on this planet together. I don't know. I know, days that are hard when I have been attacked, I wonder if this was worth it. And then I get an email from somebody that shares this beautiful story about how one of my interviews, a little snippet of a story I shared, helped validate them. Or I helped change their life for the better of accepting or something. And so, when I read stuff like that, which I'm not able to respond to most of the things I get because I do have like a day job or I'm sick, I got pyramid lung or something. But those moments are, I'm like, okay, this is worth it. This was worth helping this one person wake up.
Yeah.
This was so that this is a long answer to I don't understand why people are so untrustworthy or their agendas or I appreciate the debunkers. I appreciate some of the negativity. I knew this wasn't going to be easy, but I do it scared. I don't every time that I talk or now even going out in public, I do it consciously of where I'm going and what I'm doing because I want people to trust me. I want people to trust others that are out there because there are a lot of truths that are being said. A lot of interviews end up getting spliced and diced to where some words that I've said aren't mine anymore. And I don't know why people do that.
He doesn't have those capabilities, so you're good.
I don't either. I don't know how to edit things.
You don't feel like you have to like look over your shoulder when you go out to the grocery store or something? Or?
No, I don't think people. I did encounter about a month ago. I encountered my first person in the wild recognizing me, which was weird.
Yeah.
Very weird.
And it was him in the park, but you just didn't.
Yeah, hiking. But it is odd because I know there's the goodness prevails over the negativity, but I don't know. That doesn't answer your question, but I do it scared.
Okay. It kind of does though, because, and this is, well, I want to leave us on a funny note, so I have something I want to run by you, but before we do, like, with this topic, whether, like you're saying, people being mean, and I don't know what messages you get. I'm sure we're going to get some just for talking to you, but like,
Here come the comments.
yeah, I
Saddle up.
Yep.
They get weird.
yeah, I'm sure.
Call me a crazy cat lady. I am proud of it. Like I own that.
The cats are awesome. I'm with you in the sense of like, I just want positivity and love, and even like people getting upset, like we should know, we want to know. It's like, will it change? Like, I know you want to know, and it's good, but don't be mean to people talking about, like, we can't, I just feel like we're going to, get more flies with honey? Like, we'll move forward better if we're just trying to be all kinder to each other.
Yeah.
But
that's like the outtake is, be kind. Like, there's no sense of putting someone down, and especially when folks have no idea what we go through to come forward. We are risking a lot. I can't talk about some things I'm going through right now, but it's not easy. It is very, very difficult, and I'm low on this food chain. I have not said I've touched aircraft, which I haven't.
Right.
I wish I have. Maybe I don't because the radiation. Anyways, but yeah, but I haven't said anything crazy. I'm low on this food chain, and I'm currently going through some really difficult stuff. and that's work related. And it blows my mind that the little things that I have shared and said that have gotten attention that it has, and all I want is for us to be on the same page. I want disclosure. I want better quality data. I want all of the same things everybody else does, but yet somehow I still get blowback and attacked.
In work blowback or attack publicly?
There's some things happening at work. I don't understand what's going on right now. People have asked me, like, have you gotten any hits from the Pentagon yet? And that answer is yes now.
Okay.
It's the old boys club, just being a curmudgeon, antiquated in their ways.
Better watch what you say, man. That means people are going to listen to this. They're coming for you, dude.
Cut that out.
Yeah.
Cut that out.
Oh, I'm leaving it in. I'll cut anything she wants out. Nothing you want. All right. Well, how about this? We're going to end on a positive, happy note. So just a little background on this show. I started it during COVID, and it was strictly audio, and now obviously we've moved up in the world. I used to do a segment called Joke of the Week. And I was thinking of you and like how we could just end this on a positive, happy, fun note. So full disclosure, these aren't the best jokes. Yeah. But they're topical. I just took them from a headline last night. So I'm going to read you 3 jokes.
Okay.
You choose what you like. If you don't think they're funny, you won't hurt my feelings. So don't worry about that.
All right.
I've heard them already. There's no surprises coming my way.
All right.
Unlike the last episode that we did.
And on that note, lead with kindness, you son of a bitch. All right, here we go. I'm sorry. Just swear. I've been swearing a lot. Does that offend you?
No.
Oh, okay. Cool.
Not one bit.
Okay,
We have a very
cool.
tasteful audience. He bleeps it out.
I do bleep it out. It's mainly his mom, but I love his mom. So, okay, here we go.
Was that a snort?
All right. First joke. And these are topical, so a man surrendered nearly 1,000 rodents to a New Hampshire shelter. When asked if he had any more, he replied, "There is. Let me go to the bathroom." All right.
What?
If you're watching from the Pentagon, I'm so sorry. We're just trying to have fun here. She didn't know what she was coming
My
on
brain
to.
was focused on New Hampshire. Like, where would anyways.
Yeah, all right.
Okay.
So
he's got a new hamster up there.
God damn, that should have been the punchline. Damn it. All right, that
There
was
we
better.
go.
I wrote these
That was
very
good.
quickly. That was all right. The energy around that joke was good. All right, here we go. All right, second joke. A man was found guilty in Greece of entering homes to smell shoes. And in related news, I'm not allowed to go back to Greece.
Oh, how sad.
Aw.
What a tough life.
I
Not to be
know.
able to smell shoes.
I know. All right, and the last joke. A sexy Ozempic nurse was rated one of 2024's weirdest Halloween costumes. And in second place, sexy Ozempic grandma. So all right. So out of those 3, what do you think is the joke of the week? Which one did you like the most?
Smelling shoes.
Really? That did it for you?
I'm a smeller. I like to smell things. So that connected the olfactory senses.
All right. Well, there we go. Oh, dude. God. Remember when she was saying lead with kindness? When you just did that, in her mind, she went, never mind. Burn it down.
I was trying to join the table.
I know. I love you, buddy. All right. Well,
Yeah, the shoes.
all right.
Sorry.
Shoes. There we go.
They're-
Joke of the week.
okay.
That's awesome. I did not expect that. So that's all
Which
right.
one did you think I'd pick?
I thought you were gonna go the first one, just based on the overall.
I mean, the first one was funny because it was also delayed.
Yeah. But maybe that's why it was funny, and not
But
the
it's
joke
like
itself.
it's like when you play Cards Against Humanity. It's like depending on what the person connects to.
Yeah.
So the smelling.
shoes.
There
There
was
we-
the smelling.
There we go. Well, on that note,
You know how to win when you play Cards Against Humanity.
yeah.
Disney and then smelling.
Yeah, there we go. Would you like to promote any, James Fox film, any social handles, your medium business? That's the camera you would look at if you'd
Awesome.
like to talk directly.
Awesome. Well, thank you. So I haven't been doing readings for a bit. People have been requesting. I feel like I will start doing them again. I'm trying to figure out what this journey is going to hold for me. So hopefully soon I will be able to respond to people who've requested for readings. My website is sarahgracewarrior.com. And my Instagram is Sarah Grace Warrior. And Facebook is Sarah Grace Psychic Medium. I believe I am still getting flooded with messages on all of the platforms. So no, I get them and I try to read them. So it's hard for me to be able to respond. I give energy to a lot of people. So I give you love. If you have sent me a message, I am absolutely sending you love and light back. So no, it isn't ignored. But yeah, so Instagram, I also don't know what I'm doing on social media. So when you see a reel or something, I don't know if I could duplicate it. But I don't know what I'm doing, but I post things that make me happy.
All right. See, man, that's how you promote your shit. He's been learning as we go. Do you want to promote anything before I go?
Is that the camera I look at?
That's the camera you look at, yeah.
Pat of Butter is my dog's Instagram account. His name's Montekia.
Montekia has an Instagram?
Yeah.
All right. Does he not?
Of course he has. Of course
I
he
see
does.
you're offended. Okay,
Yeah.
let's relax.
It's
How
Montekia.
crazy of me to think that maybe your dog doesn't have a social media account. All right, so that
Pat of Butter. It's Montekia.
All right. Well, Laugh and Run Podcast. You can follow us on Instagram at Laugh Run Podcast. Same on TikTok. For comedy, this is coming out Sunday, December 8th. So this Saturday, I'm headlining the Glove Theater in Gloversville, New York. It's around Albany, so if you're in that area, feel free to come out, watch the show. It's going to be a ton of fun. Not talking about anything related to UAPs, sorry, but we're going to have a good time. So, all right, all the love, all the love, all the love. Victoria, fuck you, and we'll see you later. Bye. All right. Great job.
Oh, wait.
Thank you so much.
Before we get up, I want a photo.
Yeah, I was
Because
gonna say, can we take-
I post stuff for like teasers.
Victoria, would you mind taking our picture together?
Also
Unless
this.
you wanna just-
Well, both.
Both, all right.
Both.
Are you
One.
good on the recordings?
What?
Yeah, you can stop.
You know, we're